Yesterday, we actually connected this whole Torah that we're learning here in Likutey Moharan. We connected it also to Hanukkah and also to the Parsha of the week. Right? We spoke about the philosophy of the Greeks, Aristotle's philosophy. And on the side of holiness, the holiness that cancels that out is the holiness of the Torah Shebaal Peh, the holiness of the Kohen Gadol, the holiness of Shimon HaTzadik, and that's why it says there's a story in the Gemara that when Alexander the Great met Shimon HaTzadik, he said that his holy figure is winning all the battles in front of me. And the reason is because the side of holiness that counteracts the impurities and the klipa of the Greek culture of the Greek nation that started with Alexander the Great is the holiness of Shimon HaTzadik. And so in order for Alexander the Great to succeed and to build the empire that he built, there had to be on the side of holiness something that can cancel that out, and that was Shimon HaTzadik. So really, in essence, it was Shimon HaTzadik that allowed Alexander, to conquer and to build the empire that he built. So the power that will take us out of this exile, this impurity of Yavan, the darkness and concealment of the Greeks, which is what we want to connect to every Chanukah, at least every Chanukah, and it's something that is awakened every Chanukah, is the light of the Torah Shebaal Peh. And Torah Shebaal Peh, the oral Torah, is the Torah that is found in everything in this physical world. We have the written law, the written Torah. The written Torah is the aspect of Torah that is from the higher worlds. It's the Torah in its source. And then the oral Torah is when that Torah is received here by us in this physical world, and we accept it completely, it changes something in our reality, and it reveals something in our reality. And that is the neshama, the soul that we find, the soul of the Torah that we find in everything in this world. That's the chachma, the divine intelligence that we find everywhere in the world. So that's what the oral Torah is. It's the ability to see, as Rabbi Nachman calls it, the seicha shebechol davar v'davar, the divine intelligence in each and everything, which is the soul of the Torah that gives life, vitality to everything in the world. And that's what the whole Torah is about. And when a person sees that, when a person has that perspective, that connection, that consciousness, so then his words are words of grace. This person finds grace and favor by everyone, by anyone and by everyone, spiritually and physically, in this world and in the next. So Rabbi Nachman, we started speaking about yesterday how Rabbi Nachman, he gives us the aspect of the sun, the aspect of the moon, and he says that the aspect of the sun is the chachma, is this divine intelligence, it's Yaakov, it's the letter chet from the aleph bet, and it's the vitality, the life force and everything. Okay, and then Rabbi Nachman was speaking about the aspect of the moon. And the moon is the letter nun from the aleph bet. The nun is the malchut, and the nun is the moon. The nun is the Yetzer Hatov. Also, Rabbi Nachman was saying that the light of the sun, the light of Chachma, is so great that we need some tool in order to receive it. We can't receive it directly. And the way to receive it is through the aspect of the Malchut. The aspect of the Malchut is a complete acceptance and a complete self-nullification and complete acceptance of Hashem's will, of Hashem's light, because the moon doesn't have anything from herself, meaning that she completely nullifies herself to the sun, and that's what allows her to receive the light of the sun completely. Inasmuch as someone has a whole personality with a desire to express their own self separate from the will of Hashem, then that will be a block. It will not allow for the light of the sun to be completely reflected, completely revealed in the moon. Correct? So that's the Yetzer Tov. The Yetzer Tov is that self-nullification. The Yetzer Tov is the complete acceptance of Hashem's wisdom, Hashem's chachma, Hashem's will, Hashem's law, and that's the Malchut. And on the other hand, he says that there's the moon of the Sitra Achra, there's the moon of the Klipa, that's what represents Esav, and that moon doesn't want to accept the light of the Chachma, the wisdom. All it wants is the expression of the animal side of the self, the lower side of the lower part of the self, the animal soul. All of the desires, all of the lusts, all of the urges of the lower self, that's what it wants to express, and that's what it wants to identify with. Okay, I think that kind of basically covers what we were speaking about yesterday. We also pointed out a very important point yesterday, that this moon of the Klipa, the moon of the Sitra Achra, the moon of Esav, is the aspect of disgrace, of embarrassment. That all of that honor is attributed, the real honor, true respect, dignity, real dignity, genuine dignity is attributed to the Malchut, it's attributed to the moon of holiness, whereas the opposite of that, the disgrace, embarrassment, is attributed to the moon of the Sitra Achra. This is the moon of the Klipa, the moon of Esav. And we spoke about the connection to Yosef HaTzadik, that about Yosef, when Yosef was born, Rachel named him Yosef, and the word Yosef, the name Yosef, comes from Asaf, from the word Asaf Elohim et Cherpati, that Hashem gathered, removed all of my disgrace, all of my embarrassment. So the simple explanation, as Rashi brings, is that Rachel was embarrassed and disgraced that everyone else in the family had their children, and she was the only one that didn't have children. And so that was very embarrassing. And here, Yosef HaTzadik was born. Now, that removed that embarrassment, because now she also had children, just like the other wives of Yaakov. That's the simple explanation. But the deeper explanation is that Rabbi Nachman, as Rabbi Nachman explains in a couple places, is that the aspect of Yosef is the aspect that rectifies the disgrace. It's the aspect that removes any disgrace. Because all disgrace comes from a concealment or when the aspect of Yosef is not complete, is not perfected, is not found in the person, then that's when a person has the disgrace, the aspect of disgrace that comes out. But when a person rectifies the aspect of Yosef, as we spoke about the Tikkun HaBrit, so then a person is connected to the holy honor, the holy respect, the higher dignity, the spiritual dignity, the genuine dignity, and he's saved from any of the disgrace. So we spoke about the connection of Yosef to the moon of holiness, that the ability to receive this moon of holiness, the Yetzer HaTov, the Malchut, the dignity, is all connected with the aspect of Tikkun HaBrit, which is the aspect of Yosef. Okay, that basically pretty much covers what we spoke about yesterday. So let's continue now. Okay, so says Rabbi Nachman, "V'zeh bechinat Yetzer HaTov v'Yetzer HaRa, ki ha'Yetzer HaTov nikra misken v'chacham, bechinat Malchut." He says this is also the two aspects of Yetzer Tov and Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Tov is called misken v'chacham. He's poor and wise. The Zohar, in this week's parsha, speaks about this right at the beginning. Very interesting. The Yetzer Tov, the good inclination, is called poor and wise. Why is it called poor and wise? So he says he's gonna tell us that misken, poor, is a characteristic of the Malchut, because she doesn't have anything from herself, even though she's very, very wealthy. Actually, the Malchut is the source of all wealth, but because she doesn't have anything from herself, all that she has is what she receives from the Chachma, from the Zeranpin, from the Kuch Rabbi Yehu. So that's why she's still considered poor. And Chacham is because she receives from the Chachma. So says Rabbi Nachman, Misken veChacham, the Yitzer Tov is the Bechinat Malchut, the aspect of Malchut. Shehi Bechinat Aniya v'Dala deleit la megama klum, because the Malchut is poor and needy, so to speak. She doesn't have anything from her own self. But the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, is called the old and foolish king. That's the malchut of the other side of the klipa. Why? The reason why he's called foolish is because he doesn't want and he completely rejects any of this divine intelligence, this chokhmah, this wisdom. And when he rejects the chokhmah, so therefore he's a fool. The fool is the opposite of the wise, right? So being lacking in the wisdom, the holy wisdom, makes him, the Yetzer Hara, foolish. As we brought the pasuk before we said the pasuk about the Yetzer Hara, the fool does not desire understanding. So that's the Yetzer Hara. He rejects this deeper understanding. And each one of us needs to give strength and empower the kingdom of holiness, the Malchut of holiness, to overcome the Malchut of the other side. As our rabbis taught us in the Gemara, Masechet Brachot, that a person should always incite the Yetzer HaTov to overpower the Yetzer Hara. How does a person give this? How does a person empower the Malchut of holiness? Through studying Torah, through the Torah. It's not just through the Torah; it's through a specific way of studying Torah. Through studying Torah with enthusiasm, with power, with strength. This is also hinted to in the continuation of the Gemara. The Gemara says that you should incite the Yetzer Tov on the Yetzer Hara, and if you succeed through that to overpower the Yetzer Hara, that's good. If not, a person should study Torah. So we see that there's a connection between this inciting the Yetzer Tov on the Yetzer Hara to the study of Torah. So says Rabbi Nachman, he combines both of them. He says, study Torah with this power, with this strength, with this enthusiasm. And then you have the combination of the first two pieces of advice here that the Gemara gives us. And then you will surely overcome the Yetzer Hara. That's how you give strength to the Yetzer HaTov. That's how you empower your Yetzer HaTov to overcome the Yetzer Hara. He's just giving us another source in the Gemara of the power of learning Torah to overcome and overpower the Yetzer Hara. And where is that? We see that the Chazal, our rabbis, teach us if this disgusting one meets up with you, who is that? That's the Yetzer Hara. If the Yetzer Hara meets up with a person, meaning that he starts causing trouble to the person, what should you do? You should drag him into the Bet Midrash, where you learn Torah. Because when you drag him into the Bet Midrash, the power of the Torah will overpower and overcome him. Why is that? Because when you study Torah, the Torah gives strength to the malchut of the holiness. We explained before that the malchut represents the letter nun, and the chokhmah represents the letter chet. And by you studying Torah with enthusiasm, you are empowering this nun to receive the light of the chet. You're empowering the malchut to receive the light of the chokhmah. And then when the nun is able to receive from the chet, the malchut is able to receive from the chokhmah. So there's a combination, a unification between the chet and the nun. And the light of the moon becomes elevated, becomes increased to the size and to the quality and to the strength of the light of the sun. The moon is elevated to the status of the sun. So then that means that the malchut is returned to its perfect state. And when the malchut of holiness is returned to its perfect state, when there's a rule, and this is a very important rule that we're just speaking about also in regards to Hanukkah, but we see it in many, many places, that always has to be a balance between the side of holiness and the side of the klipa. And whatever you have going on in the side of the holiness, if that goes up, if we go up, if our power is increased, so the power of the klipa is decreased. Okay? So when the power of the malchut of holiness is increased, as we said, the moon of the holiness is elevated to the status of the sun, so then the malchut on the side of the klipa is decreased. It falls down. And the kingdom of evil is destroyed. As it says in Hosea, it says that the ways of Hashem are upright, that the righteous walk in them while the sinners stumble in them. In this same ways of Hashem, it's the same ways of Hashem. It has one effect for the righteous, and it has the opposite effect for the sinners. Meaning, when the righteous walk in the way of Hashem, meaning when the malchut of holiness is elevated, is rectified, so the malchut of the klipa, the malchut of evil, the kingdom of evil, falls down. It's nullified. It kind of like reminds me.
I was about to say, it reminds me of when Moshe is lifting his hands and then lowering his hands in battle, so that when that connection is strong between he and Hashem,
between everyone, right? Because when his hands were held up high, so we connected our heart to Hashem. Right? That the Gemara says that it wasn't the hands of Moshe that were actually causing the victory in the war. It was when his hands were lifted up in prayer, we saw him in this way, and we connected our heart to Hashem, and then we overcame the Amalek. Definitely. So we see this in many places. I was just thinking by the first plague in Mitzrayim, the plague of blood, the Medrash teaches us that a Jew and an Egyptian could be drinking from the same cup, because the Jews had water and the Egyptians had blood. And so they could be drinking from the same cup, and the Jew was drinking water, while by the Egyptian it turned into blood when the Egyptian drank from it. So this is how we have, on the one hand, we have the path of Hashem. When the tzaddikim go in the path of Hashem, it's absolutely turned around from good to bad, from success to absolute loss, to absolute destruction by the sinners, by the other side. Okay, so that's what Rabbi Nachman says. Hashem, through the path of Hashem, the way of Hashem, which is what? That's the Torah. Torah. Through this, the tzaddikim who are connected to the Malchut of holiness, they are strengthened, they are fortified, and they receive the strength through this. Uposh'im yikashlu bam. And the Rishaim, which is the sinners, which is the Malchut of evil, the kingdom of evil, Bechinat HaYetzer Hara, which is the Yetzer Hara, Shenofel v'nichna al yidei haTorah. So when the tzaddikim are connected to the Malchut of holiness, they are strengthened through it. It's kind of like now when they drink, it is water that nourishes them. Whereas at the same time, the sinners stumble because of that connection that the tzaddikim have with the Malchut. They fall, they're nullified, they're destroyed. Okay, that's like the Egyptians drinking and it becoming blood by them. Now says Rabbi Nachman, through this, all of the prayers are accepted. All the requests are accepted. So this is what is needed for our prayers to be accepted. What? He's going to say that 5 minutes, right?
What?
Oh, now you're going to go? Okay, great. So we'll continue tomorrow. We'll stop right here. All
right. Sounds good.
Okay, have a great day. All
All
the
right.
best. Bye.